time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
2 weeks ago, Hugo Louise took victory on the twists and turns of Suzuka International Racing Circuit. However, today, the drivers move over to Road America and round 4 of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. Now, this is a track that over the years, the champion has always won at. Gregor Hutu has 2 victories to his name at Road America. Hugo Louise has 1 victory to his name. That was set in 2011. So, whoever wins here today, good chance they will carry on the tradition and go on to lead that charge for the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series Championship. Will Vincent alongside Ben Rothberg and David Ward in the booth. And Ben, Road America, it's always been one of those tracks, be it in the Grand Prix Series or the Pro Series, that really does define the entire season.
It's a really hard track to get right, and welcome to everyone to this evening and this afternoon, wherever you are in the world. It's a really deceiving track. You've got fast sweeping corners, you've also got really long straights, so you need a car which is set up. The setup here and the pit stop strategy is vital. You need to get onto pit lane really straight and really fast. It's a long pit lane, you don't want to lose time in there. It's going to be a really exciting race.
There is so much to talk about in the GlacierTV pre-race show. Just to let you guys know, right now, Gregor Hutu will be starting this race on pole position. Martin Kroenke, a great qualifying by him once again. He will line up on the front row with Gregor Hutu, and then Ati Kirchhoff, Luke McLean in row number 2. Hugo Louise all the way down in 5th position, and we will get back to talking a little bit more about qualifying. Before that, however, it's time for your weekly track guide. This is a track guide about the 4-mile epic of a racetrack known as Road America. Road America, set in the Elkhart Lake region of Wisconsin, is a track that measures just over 4 miles in length with 14 corners. Over the years, it has played host to a number of different racing series, including USAC, Kart, Grand Am, and also the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Track record that's held by Dario Franchitti, set in 2000 with a time of 1 minute 39.866. Robin Miller calls Road America the best test of road racing in North America, and he's not wrong, because within the 14 corners that make up this racetrack, there is so many challenges and different opportunities as well. Taking a look at the track as you work yourself up the front straightaway. It's an uphill straightaway here, and that's going to make things very interesting, especially on the last lap of the race. Coming down into turn number 1, use a little bit of the curb on the inside, use a lot more on exit, but be careful, because if you go too wide, very easy to put the car into the wall. As you now work yourself down into turns number 2 and 3, much tighter than turn number 1. You've got to be careful here. Make sure you get yourself a good run out of the corner. Again, using some of the curbs to get yourself set up nicely down the Morian Street as you head down into turn number 5. Now, this is one of the fastest sections of the racetrack, and passing will be possible as the cars work themselves down into the infamous turn number 5. You see there the little bit of asphalt on the outside outside. Some drivers might use that, and then you use a lot of the curb. Try and use a lot of that exit curve as well to straighten the car up. As you come uphill underneath the Corvette bridge, you notice also right here, the tarmac changes just through turn number 6. Makes it very difficult for cars to get themselves onto the brakes and also onto power as well. Turn 7 and 8, the hurry downs, a right hand flick and then a short straightaway down to one of the most finicky corners on the entire racetrack, turn number 8. You've got to be careful here. Again, the tarmac changes as you come through the corner. You've got to get nicely on the power as you work yourself now into the carousel, turns number 9 and 10. You want to sometimes sacrifice your entry speed a little bit to make sure you get a good run through the corner. The last thing you're going to want is to have to check up a little bit as you're working yourself through the centre and latter part of the corner, as it will hurt your momentum all the way down the back straightaway as you come now into turn number 11, the kink. Not an issue on many cars as you work yourself all the way. You see just how close the track walls are. Absolutely no margin for error at all here as you now come down into the kettle bottoms and then turn number 12, the infamous Canada corner. Use a lot of that exit curb as you come out the corner again. And now you see as you come through turn number 13, Bill Mitchell Bend, it's actually a blind apex. You've got to have a lot of faith as you come uphill here. The car wants to unsettle itself as you head now finally down into turn number 14. You want to brake late, but it really upsets the car if you do. When the track tarmac changes, use the curb one more time on the exit again. Like in turn number 1, you've got to be careful to make sure that you don't use too much. Come up the hill underneath the Caterpillar Bridge and pass the start finish line, and that is a lap in the books here at Road America. So welcome back to Road America for the GlacierTV pre-race show here, and time now to have a look at the championship standings. And Ben, this is interesting. The battle up front is now a 15-point gap between Hugo Luis in first and Gregor Hutu in that second position.
Yeah, it's not much. We're only 3 weeks in. 2 wins to Hugo, 1 win to Gregor. They've both been in the top 5 in all 3 races. Hugo again has had 2 poles, Hutu to the 1 pole. But these guys, they're just incredibly close. They've always been close over the last couple of years. They've been chopping and changing in the championship, but there's a couple of guys also back in the field who are doing really well. Artsy Kirchhoff in 3rd, Jake Sturgio's 4th, Martin Kroenke rounding out the top 5. These guys have still got a chance for a podium position. It's still early in the year.
Yeah, it's a good start to the year for Artsy Kirchhoff, currently sat in that 3rd position. He's currently 37 points behind Hugo Luis in the battle for the championship. For the new viewers, by the way, you'll see a pink column there. That is the driver's drop point. So basically, in this series, as it was back in F1 back in the day, drivers will be able to lose their 2 worst races throughout the season. And the pink is there. What you see is the drop points they are having. Martin Kroenke as well in that 5th position, David. I mean, last week he had a standout race. He led for the first half of the race after having a difficult first 2 rounds of the year, and once again he'll be starting this race here today on the front row of the grid.
Yeah, he's really come on leaps and bounds, and his pace is just phenomenal. I mean, he's definitely going to be a contender and one to watch for this race, and he might actually get the jump on Hutu. Maybe his strategy is going to play out again here as it did at the last round. So yeah, Kroenke is definitely one to watch, and if he can just bring it home, and he's got 66 points in the championship, a long way to go, as you know, and if he can get a good scoring round, you know, definitely push his way up a little bit further, maybe push into the top 3.
Then moving over to drivers 11 through 20 in the championship standings, Alexei Usiakoda, he had a great race last time out as well. We'll talk about him in a moment. And you see drivers like Ika Hapala, Stephen Michaels, one of 3 American drivers represented in the top 20. Having a look through as well, so many different nationalities. So let's talk about, some fans called him Dracula once again, Ben, because he had a great race last time out at Suzuka.
Yeah, absolutely great start. I actually believe he'll be starting in position 8 tonight, which is a fantastic qualifying position for him. So, like, as I said before, these guys, it's 3 weeks in. People might say, oh, Hutu and Hugo have got this championship wrapped up between themselves. No, like, anything can happen. This is the real deal in motorsport. This is the top series in iRacing. It's going to be on for young and old tonight. I can't wait for the race.
Yeah, and a big hello to anyone who is watching for the first time live on iRacing Live even, GlacierTV. Don't forget, this race is available in Portuguese as well, thanks to our friends over at iRacing Brazil. And having a look through the rest of the championship standings, the important thing is, David, what we have found out over these first 3 races, like one, as was the case in the Pro Series, you can't have a bad race. Every race, because even though you do get the chance, you know, to have those drop weeks, that momentum from race to race to race, that is so important.
Yeah, without a doubt. The momentum that you get and the confidence that you get from doing well in one race, it carries over to the next race. And it really plays a lot into the driver's mind. There's definitely a psychology involved in this. And Gregor, he could have, I thought he could have pushed a little bit harder on the... And gone for the win a little bit earlier. Like, he did it on the last corner, but I thought he could have done that maybe a couple of laps earlier. And he's gone away, and he's like, damn, I could have had that. And now he's come back a lot stronger, and he's taken the pole here. So yeah, the psychology and the momentum that you get from doing well at each event, and that's come through from Kroenke as well, because he's a 1 lap pace, amazing.
Indeed, yeah, and I'll tell you what, at Road America, we'll talk about that in a moment, 1 lap pace, those in-laps, the out-laps, you know, the parts that make up that pit strategy, that is going to be so important. Don't forget, stay in touch with us throughout the race, use the hashtag GlacierTV, alternatively, iRacingWCS is your hashtag for today. For more information of iRacing, of course, follow at iRacing, and on Facebook, facebook.com/GlacierTV. We'll give a bigger shout out to you guys throughout the course of this day. Big shout out to Diego Colafebo, and also to Bäckman, and also to Francisco Marino, who's watching his first live race here on GlacierTV. So a big shout out to you. But Ben, we've got about 6 minutes left of this warm up, and these guys right now, it's again, as always, just calming down those nerves.
Yeah, exactly. We're in. This is the stage where these guys have to sit down, just relax. We've got a really long race, 47 laps around Road America. It's a fast, high, need really good concentration throughout this whole race. Your concentration lapped for 1 second and you're off the road and in the wall, and it's game over.
So much to talk about as well, and we've always seen at this racetrack, David, you know, that the alternative strategy, if there's one track where it is worth trying it out, this is one of them. Turning our attention back to the iRacing.com at Pro Series of Road Racing, you know, in the fall of last year, the 2 versus 1 stop strategy, it was the key factor of that race. And here today, the question is going to be, do you risk it and do the 2 stops, or is 1 stop for having to nurse that car for part of the stint the correct way to go?
I think it all really depends where you are on the grid. The front runners might go for a 1 stop, and then if you're further down, you might take a risky 2 stop. It could switch around. The front runners might be thinking, oh, it's going to be faster with low fuel, not much overtaking going on. You're not going to lose a lot of aero from like trying to battle with people. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who does what with the strategy, and how it pans out for over the race.
And, you know, Ben, we can talk about strategy, and some people are against the idea of, you know, having to use strategy to determine your races. But at the end of the day, it is important to have the full package. And yes, it is great to have that 1 lap, you know, that you can do over qualifying. Yes, it's great to have some very fast pace over the course of the race, but you've got to have that strategy as well. It is going to be important for these drivers.
Strategy is key. As I said earlier in the broadcast, in the pre-race show, they've got to get onto pit road in the right time. If they leave it 1 lap late, their tyres are going to be older, someone can jump them. One of these guys from back in the pack, maybe it's Artie Kirchhoff, they'll do a different strategy. They'll pit a couple laps earlier, have fresher tyres, or they'll run out really long. These guys can twist this strategy so much that it can make or break someone's race at the front.
The question is, however, who's going to win? And I'm going to turn first of all to you, David. I want one driver. Who's going to win it today?
It's going to be Hutu.
Ben?
Go with the Aussie because he's up at 12 o'clock at night. Luke McLean.
I tell you what, it's a good qualifying that by McLean. Let's talk about that very quickly. He has had a very good qualifying session, and I mean, he is, you know, a great driver in his own right, but he's had himself a really good qualifying here today. And he could be one to watch, especially if there is that alternative strategy, Ben.
Well, he's one of those people who will do the alternative strategy. He's done it a lot before. He's a fast racer. He knows how to work that alternative strategy. He does it most rounds now. A lot of people are used to it. What he's got to do is just find that really, the crossover point, you'd call it, in the tyres and the fuel and strategy where he can get home. If he can get it just right, he'll be right up the front at the end of the race.
And very quickly, we'd like to give a big shout out to the following people. First of all, World Championship Tipping, presented to you by Team Redline. For more information, go to teamredline.co.uk/tipping and support your favourite drivers over the course of this season. Big shout out, of course, as well to iRacing, iRacing.com, the world's most realistic simulator. And we are, of course, GlacierTV, and we are, of course, here at Road America. A little bit of information about the track. We'll be racing today for 47 laps. This track has 14 corners, each of them as difficult as the one beforehand. Corners to look out for: turn number 1, turn 5, and also that run down to the famous turn 12, Canada corner. And lap record, well, that is 1 minute 33 seconds, 0.127, and that is actually held by Matt Delorco. Now, to have a look through your starting grid for this race, and we talked about it already, Gregor Houtu taking pole position. Martin Kroenke will line up alongside him in the first row. Ati Kirchhoff will line up in third. Luke McLean in fourth. Hugo Louise, a bad qualifying by him, is only in the fifth position. Jake Sturdios in sixth. Andre Borchardt, a good qualifying by him in the seventh spot. Alexei Yusiakola in eighth. Again, good qualifying by him as well. Fulvio Barrazzoni, one of his worst qualifyings of the year, in the 9th position. Marty Patili, a great qualifying by him in the 10th spot. Max Delorco, he holds a lap record, and he is starting today in the 11th position on the grid here today. In 12th is Emil Spindell. 13th is Yudai Narumi. 14th is Stephen Michaels. 15th is Pablo Lopez. Joni Tamada in the 16th position. Enzo Benito in 17th. Ika Hapala in 18th. Simon Cartel in 19th. And then Petru Costabaro rounds out the top 20. Rest of the times coming up on your screen momentarily. And that run down, that front shot away into turn number 1, David, that is going to be a critical part of the race. We have seen big crashes down in turn number 1. In fact, the first, entire lap, you've got so many danger spots. Turn 1, turn 2, that run down into turn 5. Then you got that tricky section in the middle part of the track. In fact, these cars will be fighting for position all the way until they complete lap number 1.
Yeah, turn 1's going to be... It's not the fact that it is turn 1, it's because you have such a long run down to turn 1, and everyone's going to be bunched up from getting the draft from the cars in front. So it's going to be really interesting as they move into there. Turn 2 is not too bad because they should all be line astern by then, but the big run down into turn 3, the sharp left-hander, I think that's where we're going to see some moves done on the first lap.
Don't forget, live timing for this race is available. Head over to isowc.org/live for live timing throughout this race. We are less than 1 minute away from the start of the 4th round of the iRacing.com World Championship Series from Road America. Will Vincent, Ben Rothberg, David Ward will be bringing you all the action. Shout out also to Joni, doing all the camera work behind the scenes, never getting enough of the praise. But Joni, good job once again. Meanwhile, top 3 drivers, Gregor Houtu, he's looking to get 2 wins in his campaign to equal it out once again between himself and Hugo Louise. Martin Kroenke will start in 2nd position, Ati Kirchhoff in 3rd, Luke McLean in 4th, and then Hugo Louise in that 5th spot. What can these top 5 drivers do in this race? We have got a total of 35 drivers making the start once again here. And Houtu, let's talk about this very quickly before we go green. Only 8/1000ths of a second ahead of Martin Kroenke. Waiting for those lights now to go the iRacing.com Gantry to go racing for 47 laps around Road America. Any moment now, they're going to go off, and here we go. Houtu with a good start. Martin Kroenke with a slugging start there, right down the middle. cars already up into the 4th position, but what a start there, Ben. Artie Kirchhoff, 3rd into 1st.
That was a grouse start from Artie. A lot of guys just trying to jostle for position back in the field. These guys have done well to get through turn 1 and 2 to try and get down 3 and 4 now.
Coming down into 4 and 5 for the first time, and Jake Sturgill's there trying to make a move on, sorry, that was Luke McLean there who's trying to make a move on Hugo Louise. Wasn't able to get the job
down the
done.
back.
And we have got an accident down the back, and this is turn 5. We talked about how dangerous it would be. We have one car off track. We'll try and give you who that was momentarily, and it was in fact Pedro Cotavaro there in the number 17 machine who's off track. He's back on. However, we'll keep it with your leaders for the time being, because Artie Kirchhoff right now is trying to pull away from Gregor Hutu, and this is the battle for the race lead. In 3rd position is Martin Kroenke, in 4th is Hugo Louise, and then 5th is Luke McLean. Jake Sturgis in 6th, Andrei Borcha 7th, Fulvio Barizoni in 8th, and Alexei Isiakola round out your top 10. And I tell you what, actually, Koda trying to make a move down to the inside. At the same time, I believe that Jake Sturgill just able to get past Andrei Borcha as he got himself down into Canada corner for the first time. But David, Artie Kirchhoff leads this race, and I have to say, possibly one of the best starts we have seen in WCS history.
That was an absolute amazing start to come like that on the big, and great driving by everyone. I mean, to go 3 wide down into turn 1. But Greg is actually catching him now. He's got a big long draft coming off the start-finish straight into...
Yakola goes wide there, coming out of turn 1. He had the move made. He gained 1 position, now he loses 2. He was trying to get past Fulvio Barizoni, and he then, because he went wide, falls back behind Max Alorco. So Yakola trying a big move early on. It didn't work out for him, but as they come down into turn number 5, Gregor Hutu, will he try and make the move? Not just yet. And Ben, this is what we always talk about with Hutu. He will psych himself to lead of this race. He won't make a move early on. He's happy right now to sit behind Kirchhoff by the look of it, but if he sees the gap, he's going to go right down that inside.
He knows what his strategy is now. He knew that Artie was probably going to get a good start, or Hutu would have, Hugo would have been up the front. He's now saving fuel, saving tyres for sure. He's got that mental strategy where he's playing the long game now. He's not playing a short game, he'll play the long game.
Meanwhile, Timo Evening in the number 37 machine is right now battling with Paul Ilbrink for what is 18th and 19th positions on the racetrack. We'll keep an eye on this very quickly as they run out the carousel. They'll make that flick through the kink as then they come down into Kettlebomb and bottoms even. The run down into Canada corner. Even is not going to be close enough. He's got a lot less downforce right now. It looks at that radical driver. He will now move down to the inside. In fact, if you look at the straight line speed advantage he has, he's able to plant it down the inside. Now, Ilbrink will have the advantage as they come down into the second to last corner. 2 wide from here never works, but Evelyn is just going to be able to hold on as they come down into turn number 14. He moves himself up into the 18th position on the racetrack. However, as it stands right now, your top 5 drivers, Artie Kirchhoff, last time past the line, he had a 4 tenths for a second advantage over Gregor Hutu. Martin Kroenke in 3rd, a further 3 tenths for a second back. But Hugo Louise in 4th right now, Ben. He's lost that draft, and that is going to be a critical factor for him right now.
Yeah, that's right. He's falling into the clutches of Luke McLean actually right now. Luke looks like he's going to go up the inside. Hugo's left the door. No, he's just going to stick behind him. Hugo's run a little bit wide. But these guys, they know there's 47 laps. They'll stick in the bet. There's a little bit of a crash update from that turn 1. It looks like Udai Narumi was involved. Pablo Lopez had bench steering as well, and it also looks like Daniel Lopez was also caught up in it.
Just to give you an update, so Yudo Narumi is on pit road. Martin Patella is out of the race, and the 2 Lopez brothers, Daniel and Pablo, are both right now out of the race, as is Enzo Benito. So we have 5 drivers out of the race early on here. And also, David, we just saw it on our screens there. Martin Kroenke made a huge mistake down into turn number 5. It lost him the lead group, and now he's right in the clutches of Hugo Louise in that battle for the 3rd and 4th position.
Yeah, he made a really bizarre error there, but it's as soon as you lose the draft of the lead group and you get like pushed down, it's just going to be so hard to like catch back up because everyone is absolutely on a flying pace at the moment.
And this is going to be really helpful for Hugo Luis as they come past the stripe once again. The gap between Kroenke and Luis, this is important right now. 7/10 for a second, so Luis was able to keep that draft now. He will get that down these long straightaways. Meanwhile, Jacola able to make the move that time on Fulvio Barrazzoni, and you saw it on your screens. He is now up into the 8th position. So it didn't work the first time. Second time a charm, and Alexei Jacola up into the 8th spot. Ahead of them, Jake Sturgios and Andre Borchio. They are battling for 6th and 7th positions on the racetrack. Sturgios has been running quite a lot of wing in this race, however, and this is one thing that we haven't talked about, Ben, that there's going to be a lot of different setup options available here as well. Some drivers will go for the very low downforce, we've seen that already, and other drivers will be going for the more high, medium downforce, and it's going to make a big difference on these straightaways.
Yeah, exactly. Especially because there's so many high-speed corners. A lot of people can just choose, and it's a personal preference. Sorry, in what they want to feel in their car and how they like to drive the car. It looks like up the front though that Artsy and Gregor are just driving away from the field. They're the only two guys in the 137s at the moment. Martin Kroenke starting to fall into the clutches of Hugo.
He is indeed, and Kroenke, that last time by, did a 1:38.978. Compare that to the 1:38.450 there for Hugo Luis. So this will be interesting now as they come past the stripe once again to see whether or not Kroenke and Luis are going to be able to close that gap by using the draft to their advantage, because Kroenke, of course, has no longer got the gap really to Gregor Hutu. As they come past the stripe once again, Kirchhoff does a 1:37.879. Kroenke was actually that last time by a little bit faster. The gap between Hutu and Kroenke right now, 1.2 seconds on the racetrack, and the fastest guy on the racetrack right now, that does look as though it is actually Hugo Luis, 1:37.616, using that draft advantage. But right there, David, he just got turn 2 so horribly wrong.
Yeah, it's really difficult corner turn 2 because you end up coming downhill, and then the corner slowly tightens up as well. So there's kind of like two apexes that you can take. You can take the first one and let the car drift out right, or hang it out a little bit more before you and take a little bit of a later apex, but you get good straight line speed there.
Very quickly going to head over to battle for 13th and 14th position on the racetrack. This is right now between Joni Tamala and Christian Laurent. Christian Laurent there trying his hardest to get past Joni Tamala, the 40 on the 42 car. Behind them, they've got Ben Cornette catching him up a little bit as well. And behind them, Jason Lovett, he's going a little bit slowly early on. We believe that he had some issues. As Lovett there is going to go down the inside, and it looks like he just makes a pass on Alexei Aloma, who got turn number 8, so horribly wrong there, and he's losing even more positions there. Drivers storming around the outside of him. That was just Blake Town and Timo Evenham were able to go around the outside there of Alexei Aloma, and looks like Aloma might have some issues, Ben.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure what happened there, but yeah, he's lost a bunch of position.
But right now, it is still Artsy Kirchhoff out front as he comes past the line to put his 5th lap in the books. Gregor Hutu still in the 2nd spot. Martin Kroenke is still in 3rd. Hugo Luis is in the 4th position. And keep an eye on Luke McLean as well, because as soon as Louis and Kroenke start fighting for position, he's kind of been in touching distance all race long, David. And I've got a feeling if these two ahead of them start battling for position, Luke McLean will be right there.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, once you start battling for position on this track, that's when you're going to really start losing a huge amount of time. And Luke's a really talented driver, as he showed at Suzuka, so he should be able to catch these guys pretty soon, because he's within the draft range now. But as we always know, he gets a little bit sideways going into there. As you always know, it's like catching's one thing, passing is another.
Always is the case, and catching at this racetrack, we saw it on the iRacing.com at Pro Series of Road Racing. The last 10-15 laps were so spectacular. Drivers on 2-stop, drivers on 1-stop strategy. It was very hard for him to make a move, and Richard Stanaway comes into my mind. He was on absolutely total tyres, but was able to get the job done. Meanwhile, we'll keep an eye out on McLean, who's currently running in that 5th position. In 6th, Andre Borchio. Once again, Ben, he's kind of having a lonely day right now in that Micro ID car, and he's running in that 6th position, the number 13 machine, but he's kind of fallen back from the top 5 drivers. But still, I mean, he's got to take Sturgios there, but it looks like Sturgios hasn't got the wing package to make it work on the straightaways.
Yeah, himself and Jake at the moment are just cruising around just ahead of Jacola. Back to Luke McLean though, I think he is the dark horse in this race. He's sitting there just...
Hutu's going past there, sorry to interrupt you, so right there, Gregor Hutu is going to go to the race lead there, he's going to get the job done down into turn number 1, and I'm gonna have to ask the question there. Was that a little bit of team orders going on?
Alexei Kirchhoff definitely lifted off there.
And the thing is, there are no rules against team orders here in the iRacing.com World Championship Series. But, you know, Kirchhoff, let's give him all the credit in the world. He was leading this race, and he did make possibly the best start we've seen in WCS history. Third to first into turn number 1 at Road America. Always a brave thing. Perhaps Putin might have gone and saved just a tiny bit of fuel behind him. But now, let's see, Ben. Now he's ahead. He looks so already. He is pulling away. That gap is already up to 6 car lengths, and he's only done half a lap.
I think Hutu knows that Hugo is catching Martin Kroenke here, and I'm sure that those two guys out of the My3ID garage will be thinking the same thing as soon as Hugo catches up to the back of Kroenke as well.
And let's not forget about this as well. If Hutu comes home in first, I mean, we are only working on lap 7 out of 47. If Hutu comes first and Hugo Luis gets past Martin Kroenke and comes home third, that will nullify everything, and it will be these two drivers, Hutu and Luis, leading the 4th round of the championship equal in points. So let's just throw that one into the air as well. And it's you've got to get every single point in this, and we talk about it all the time. But as they come past the track, put the 7th lap in the books, your new race leader, Gregor Hutu, in the number 1 machine. Your defending champion takes home that lead now from Alexei Kirchhoff. The gap right now is 4/10 of a second. Martin Kroenke currently running in 3rd. He is 1.9 seconds behind your race leader. Hugo Luis is right there, David. And meanwhile, Max Delorco, they'll flick over to him. He's trying to go side by side there with Barazoni, and he's been passed so many times into turn number 1. And Ben, that really does show up that Barazoni is running a lot of wing, because he is just being driven past on the uphill main straightaway.
Yeah, I'm also watching Jake Sturgis. Those two guys look like they've got the higher wing package. Jake Sturgis always gets a run out of that last corner and up that hill on Andre Bocha, but can never, he gets alongside, but then Bocha just pulls away, and the same with Nicola as well. Oh, sorry,
Okay.
Delorca.
Okay, now let's have a look at the start of this race. There's a lot of things that we need to talk about. The start, first of all, by Alexei Kirchhoff. He got the best launch of the day. He was able to slot right down the middle there of the front row on that run down to turn 1. Let's not forget, Road America is a narrow front stretch as well. Got the job done into turn 1. Who's perhaps giving him a little bit of room there to avoid impact. And he takes that race lead away there from Hutu and Martin Kroenke. And then we have to have a look a little bit further back, because this is where the incidents all start. We had a driver who's pushed off track. That was Marty Patella there, pushed off track on the exit of turn number 2. And behind them, there was a bit of an incident as well as some cars coming out of pit road. But then as they come down to turn number 5, we talked about it, the huge bottleneck. And that is when things go horribly wrong. Marty Patella, who already was off track, he came down into turn number 5, and it looks like he just caught actually Max Delorco. Caught the front wing, and Delorco able to survive there, but Patella was spun around, and that's what took out a number of drivers. And I have to say, guys, it was a pretty big logjam down there, and I saw at least 6 drivers involved in some form of contact. The worst, of course, was that of Pablo and Daniel Lopez, and also Yudan Arumi.
Yeah, it's a real tough corner though. As I said before, you're coming off such a high speed straight into a braking zone. You've got to be careful of not just the guy who's braking in front of you, but you've also got to think about the guy another 3 cars and where they're braking. So it definitely turns into a bottleneck. So I wasn't really surprised to see an accident there. More the number of drivers involved. But yeah, just an update on Blake. Blake's actually got ahead of Timu, so he's those two have been having a really good battle.
Yeah, Blake Town and Timo Even, and they are no strangers to each other, and they are having a great battle there. Blake Town in that number 23 car, now up into the 16th position, Ben.
Yeah, he's doing a great job, Blake Town. There's a lot of guys who are just who have benefited from that incident which happened down at turn 3 on lap 1. These guys have just jumped up. There's a lot of, as you said, a lot of people have wing damage and whatnot, but these guys, it's all points count. All points count. Even though it's early in the season, they all count towards the end of the season.
All points count indeed, and Stephen Michaels was one of those drivers who lost out dramatically. Let's not forget, he started that race in the 14th position. He is now running all the way down in 26, so he's got a lot of work to do. However, he's got himself Miguel Martin ahead of him, Hal Cordace, Cal Pino, and the Unverters. They're all kind of running off the pace right now, having sustained perhaps a little bit of damage early on. However, to run through your top 10, and this is a new feature we have for you here today as well, gains and losses, and this will come up on your screen. And so Gregor Hutu, Martin Kroenke, Atze Kirchhoff. Sorry, I've got that completely wrong, so apologies for that. My timing has gone wrong. But Gregor Hutu is still your race leader. Atze Kirchhoff still in the 2nd position. Martin Kroenke is in 3rd. Hugo Louise is in the 4th position, and Luke McLean is in 5th. So the big difference there is that McLean lost a position early on in this race to Hugo Louis. Jake Sturgis in the 6th position, that's where he started. Andre Borcher in 7th, where he started. And I tell you right now, the rest of the top 10 coming up on your screen momentarily, Ben. Borcher and Sturgis, they're having a great battle right now.
Yeah, it looks like Sturgis actually got around Bocher down at turn 1 on the previous lap. Watch Bocher come back though. That low downforce setup on that on that car, sorry, will be able to get Jake on these long straights. It's going to be a fantastic battle between these two.
Yeah, in fact, just as they come down towards Canada Corner once again, you saw Borcher gain a lot of time. Now, the important thing, David, is he just needs to keep it together now through the second to last corner and into turn at number 14. I mean, 14 is a horrible braking zone. I absolutely hate it. But if he can get it together here, there's a chance he might be able to try and make that move back down into turn number 1.
Oh yeah, easily. If Jake is running quite a bit of wing, which it does look like he is, and Butcher's just going to come flying past him. Not into turn 1, but maybe coming off turn 2. That's probably the next best straight to do it, because it's such a high speed corner onto there anyway, and you can carry a lot of momentum.
Great onboard shots once again. We're having a look there with Andre Borcher in that number 13 car. Let's talk about that front straightaway a little bit as well, Ben, because we didn't get the chance to do so in our pre-race show, but it's going to make things difficult for pit road. It's going to make things interesting at the end of the race as well. And so often at this racetrack, we've seen guys gamble with fuel and then get halfway up the hill, run out of gas, and then literally slide right back down it. That front straightaway demands a lot more respect than normal. But meanwhile, very quickly, going to have a look at Marcus Caton. So he's involved in a battle right now with Paul Igelbrink by the look of it. Not going to be quite close enough though, coming down into turn number 5. So we'll talk about the front straightaway once again, Ben.
Yeah, just quickly, as Caton just makes a slight mistake there, and just behind Paul Igelbrink, lost a bit of time. But those guys are having a ripper battle. That's down in 20th position, and like, there's just competition level is just out of control. But going back to pit lane, sorry. As you enter pit lane, as you said, it's very steep uphill. That commitment cone, which is where they have to activate their speed limiter for pit lane, is blind. You cannot see it. You have to guess your braking marker most of the time to get it right, and it's the person who's going to get that perfectly right who may win this race.
Caton very quickly down to the inside as they come down into Canada Corner. He will go side by side. He will make the pass there. A little bit rough on that inside curve, but gets the job done. Paul Igelbrink's going to be close though, and that radical car in the number 41 machine will try and perhaps make a bit of a revenge attack as they come up the front straightaway. Igelbrink going a little bit wide, however, and that is going to allow a little bit of breathing space for Marcus Caton as he moves himself now up into the 19th position. However, to have a look at the lap time so far between your top 3 drivers, in fact your top 5 drivers, last time by, Martin Kroenke, a 137.070, so he right now is catching Atze Kirchhoff and Gregor Hutu.
Yeah, I've been watching these lap times tumble down, and it looks like Kirchhoff has got the hurry up now and pestering Hutu, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, Kroenke, he's one lap. The guy's on a mission so quick, and it won't be long before he's catching these guys at this rate.
But there's one more to look up. Sorry, Will. Yakola in 8th position has also just done a 137.0. He is flying in the 8th position and catching Andre Borcher and Jake Sturgis at about 5/10 a lap. There, he's right on the back of them right now.
He is indeed, as they work themselves through turn number 13. And let's not forget as well with Martin Kroenke, he had exactly the same issue. That was his undoing at Suzuka 2 weeks ago. Martin Kroenke got a great start, was able to get to the lead, so kind of you didn't really see the fact he was a little bit slow those first laps. So Shikoda now is going to be very close to Borcha. Will he make the move? Yes, he will. Down to the inside as they come up the front straight away. Down into turn 1. Alexi Shikoda and that 39 car. Gonna just about get the job done and will be able to slide on the exit of the corner. He moves up now into the 7th position. But to go back to Martin Conke, let's not forget, at Suzuka, Ben, that was his undoing. Those first 5 or 6 laps after he came out of pit road is where he lost the race 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, as I said before, this competition in this simulation software is just so high. You make one mistake and it'll make or break your race. If you're too slow on the pit road, if your pit stop is too long, if you run wide at one corner and lose a couple of positions, it's a couple of tenths off your lap time. Yes, most of us guys don't mind, just keep driving. These guys have to be picture perfect, especially around here for 47 laps. And if they're not, that's what's not going to win them the race.
And Ati Kirchhoff as well, he responded the way that only Ati Kirchhoff can. A 1 minute 36.719, and we saw this exact same thing 2 weeks ago, Dave. That, you know, one guy will do a really good lap and then they'll get the team ratings like, okay, you need to push it a little bit more. Kirchhoff right now, and let's give him credit, he's only still 4 tenths per second behind Gregor Hooter. There'll be a number of fans who suspected that once Hooter got out to this race lead would drive away, but Kirchhoff right now is keeping his teammate very, very honest. I
think maybe Hutu is actually just managing it. You know, as weird as it now sounds, there's definitely a strategy to play out here, and we all need to see what happens during the pit stops. But Luis and Kroenke, they seem to be working together now to try and catch those leading two, because I really want to see this turn into a four-way battle.
A four-way battle will be absolutely amazing. And we can talk about rhetoric again. Road America does produce some very close finishes. Hugo Luis that last time by is now very close to the rear of Martin Kroenke, and it'll be interesting to see whether or not Kroenke is on lighter fuel like he was 2 weeks ago as well, to see whether or not he might be able to pull the wheel around the racetrack and then kind of come in. Think about Velodrome racing a little bit, come in a little bit early and allow Luis to go and make that charge over the next couple of laps. But very quickly, I'd like to welcome into the GlacierTV booth Alexi Aloma. And Alexi, your race hasn't gone to plan today.
Well, it was like that because my connection was fucked up, so I couldn't really use the ADSL, so I had to use the 3G, so it was kinda expected, but yeah.
And guys, we'd like to apologise for that comment Alexi just made there. Alexi, a bad race, and we'll talk to you next time out, 2 weeks' time. And once again, we'd like to apologise for that comment one more time, but Gregor Hooty still leading the way here in that #1 machine. The gap is right now half a second between himself and Ati Kirchhoff. Martin Kroenke still in that 3rd position, and this will be interesting as they come past the strike once again. See what Martin Kroenke does as he comes past the start finish line. It is a 1 minute 37.3 for Kroenke, a 1 minute 37.4 for Hugo Luis. However, Ati Kirchhoff did a 1 minute 36.9, Hutu a 1 minute 36.747. So right now, the red line guys are pulling away from the Team Y3OD drivers.
Yeah, I think maybe that Kroenke's just holding up Luis a little bit. Not enough, but just not. Oh, there we go. Called it right there, and he's just pulled over to let Luis by. Obviously got on the radio saying Luis is faster than you. Do you understand?
Yeah, no multi 21 there. It was literally Luis is like, dude, I've got to find a way of getting to these two drivers. Luis goes past perhaps Kroenke, trying to set himself some fast time, overshot his overworked his tyres a little bit. We are currently working on lap 15, and let's not forget, for the 2 stop guys right now, they're only about 3 laps away, Ben, from making their first stop of the day.
Yeah, these guys, I thought there may have been even a 3-stopper. Someone just do light fuel loads, but it doesn't actually look like it. Just a quick update on Yakola. Looks like him and Andre Bocha got together at the top of turn 4, pushing Yakola wide, and Bocha looks like he's got front wing damage at the moment. Yakola ended up losing about 5 or 6 seconds, unfortunately, but he's got the car pace to get back up there.
And also Rico Elatala there, just able to get past Dion Burgess, moving himself now up into the 18th position, 19th position on the racetrack. Meanwhile, Gregor Hooty still is moving away, and this is that critical stage of the race right now. David, that these next 3 or 4 laps are going to be the difference maker, and also we're going to have to keep an eye out to see whether these guys do a 2-stop over a 1-stop strategy.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the front runners were going to do. If I was a front runner, I would go on a 2-stop just because you're running light fuel load, high speed. So we'll see how it pans out. If I was further down in the back, I'd run a 1-stop and try and see if I could jump everyone. But if you're out front, you've got clean air, nothing. You might as well just go for it.
And having a look further back as well, there are still these battles going on, and Ben, we haven't talked about the fact, that fuel loads do come into play. We've talked about, for example, the wings. The fact that different guys are in different downforce levels. Paul Ilbring is really right behind Dion Burgess right now, and Alex Hallow's been able to build up, a 10-car length advantage over the course of just 1 lap. But the fuel will come into play, and these 2-stop guys right now are getting close to running on fumes.
Yeah, there'd be a couple of guys to actually watch who I saw start from pit lane. It was Yao Pinu and Yao Cordasso actually started from pit lane. Now they're from the same team. Now, wondering if they wanted to start from pit lane to save fuel or just get out of traffic, I'm not sure, but they could be the ones to watch who come through once this 1-stop strategy and all the pit stops are finished.
And to keep an eye out on these lap times, they come past the track once again, like last time by 1:36.565 there for Kirchhoff. He was faster than Gregor Hutu. Luis now is into the 36s, and it seems to be that, again, Kroenke can stay ahead, stay right there with Hugo Luis, as Kirchhoff's able to stay right there behind Gregor Hutu, but it just seems to be that Luis and Hutu in clean air are the fastest guy right now.
I don't see Luis catching Kirchhoff at the moment, not unless he makes a mistake, but Kirchhoff's driving really well. Respect to him keeping up with Hutu, and so is McLean as well. He's there. He's definitely one to watch. He's only 6.5 seconds behind the leader, but if he can catch up with the My Free ID guys, he could really upset the party.
Ben?
Yeah, I'm still going with Luke McLean. I reckon he's the dark horse here today, and all he has to do is just catch that draft of Kroenke, which he's not far off actually. He's actually doing quite good lap times. As soon as he gets that draft, watch those lap times come down. I reckon Luke McLean will be right up there in the end.
I think he could be as well, and of course he is your driver that you're following for the day. And let's not forget that McLean is in the same car as Gregor Hutu and Ati Kirchhoff, and we know McLean is probably going to be on the opposite strategy to what Hutu and Kirchhoff are on. So that's going to make things very interesting as this race progresses. They come past the stripe. We'll run through your field on lap number 18 now of 47. Gregor Hutu has got that gap up now to about 7 tenths of a second over Ati Kirchhoff. Hugo Luis currently running in the 3rd position. He's got himself right now about a 6 tenths of a second gap over Martin Kroenke. Luke McLean kind of in no man's land, about 2 seconds behind Martin Kroenke in the 5th position. Jake Sturgios a further 6 seconds back in the 6th spot. Andrei Borcha catching Sturgios on some laps, losing a lot of time on others. He's currently in the 7th position. Max Delorco, don't forget, he owns the track record here. He is catching Borcha in a big hurry right now. Alexei Usiakola in 9th, and then Fulvio Barazoni running out your top 10. In 11th, David de Korps. In 12th, Joni Tamara. In 13th is Ben Cornett in the, and very quickly, Max Delorco is now going to go around the outside of Andrei Borcha. Not going to be able to make the move, however, will try to cut under. Didn't work as they come underneath the Corvette bridge. And Cornett in 13th, Laurent in 14th, Blake Town in 15th, Jason Lovett 16th, Timo Eden in 17th, Marcus Caton in 18th, Morella Town in 19th, Paul Ilbrink in the 20th position. Retirees from this race, Alex Dialoma, Emil Spindell, Enzo Benito, Daniel Lopez, Pablo Lopez, Yulan Arumi and Martin Patella are all out of the race.
Ati Kirchhoff has again gone another 10th quicker on that last lap than Gregor Hutu.
You're in the draft, when you get on the straight you're going to be able to gain that extra couple of tenths easily.
I'm not sure why, maybe it is team strategy or I'm pretty sure Don would be able to fill us in if he was here, who's the owner of Team Redline. But why wouldn't Gregor want to stay behind Artie and save fuel? He might be able to make that strategy a little bit more flexible.
Maybe he thought that he could actually pull away, because it's very deceiving. You sit behind someone in the draft and you're like, I'm faster than you, and then you actually overtake them, sit out front, and it's like, oh, we're the same pace.
It was just 3/10 that lap. Outsy Kirchhoff a 36.236 to Gregor Hutu a 36.502. This is just Outsy Kirchhoff's doing a great job to stay with Gregor.
Oh yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, he's really on pace. But it comes down to fuel load. You don't know what the strategy is. Don't forget, Kirchhoff got a really good start, so maybe he was running a low fuel, which allowed him to get that. I mean, we don't know until we see them start coming down pit road.
Indeed, we won't. And Hutu, I mean, he will respond. And let's not forget, Hutu are the best thinkers in all of sim racing. He knows exactly what he has to do, lap after lap after lap. Kirchhoff right now is making a statement. Let's not forget, this is the guy who sat third in the championship. So, any issue for Hutu, if he goes wide, I know Kirchhoff is right there back past him. To give my insight on that question as well, it's always the case. You see, the car behind is always saying the car in front is faster. Let's turn our attention, for example, to Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton just 2 weeks ago. But meanwhile, Luke McLean takes Sturgis. They are continuing to sit in that 5th and 6th position, and I'm keeping an eye out on Sturgis actually, because he is starting to fall back into the clutches of Andre Borcher on some laps.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just watching this battle with Aleski coming up to Daloka, and Aleski's absolutely on it, so it won't be too long till he's knocking on the back door of Jake Sturgis there. They're all weaving along the straight trying to break the draft, but yeah.
That's one of those things over the course of this race. It is going to be guys who will just try and get themselves, a bit of mind games will come into play as well, because, you're sat behind another driver, you catch them, that brick wall hit. Unlike tracks like Suzuka that we were 2 weeks ago, this is a track with so many long straightaways that you don't have to just sit behind. You can make the pass, especially into these huge braking zones.
Yeah, it's really risky as well. I mean, later on in the race, when the laps start counting down, they're probably going to see maybe a little desperation from some of the drivers. But now Leski's just sitting behind, biding his time. I don't think he'll make a move until they come onto the last corner and start finish straight, because he's got straight line speed.
Yeah, and that straight line speed is going to be important. And these guys have set their cars up specifically for that purpose. Do they want the straight line speed? If they're further down the grid, I think these guys, when they came into this week, they thought we need to have some different options available. We need to have the chance, for example, if we need to have a low downforce setup, David.
Yeah, it would be nice to have that kind of facility there. Sorry, just Leski was just made it up to 8th place
P8.
now. Yeah, so he's been let go.
And he's been on the charge once again, just as we saw 2 weeks ago. Alexei Isiakola. Let's not forget, this is the guy who dominated the first part of the iRacing.com Pro Series of Road Racing before Real Life took over and he wasn't able to compete in the second half of the season. He was the guy to beat then, and right now he's been running solidly in the top 10 the last 2 races, and he's catching Borger at an incredible rate of knots.
Yeah, absolutely, just immense. Just a quick update, it looks like Kirchhoff has made a mistake. He's dropped 1.5 seconds off from Hutu, but Hutu's down into the low 36.1s, so maybe he just starts falling into the clutches of Luis here.
Luke McLean's actually also dropped a second last lap. I'm not sure if these guys are maybe getting ready for pit stops and trying to set their strategies on whatnot. Maybe the tyres are starting to go and the cars are starting to get light in the rear end. I don't know, this could be, it's about pit stop strategy now, lap 21 of 47.
And let's not forget as well, everyone is going to be on a one-stop race. That window for a two-stop strategy, that's really closed now. So these guys are going to be on a one-stop race, and the question is, who is going to be the first to blink? And coming out that final corner as well, the cars get such a huge wiggle coming up that corner that so often you kind of think, wait a minute, and they are going to dive down pit road when in fact they're not. So we'll keep an eye out on pit road. It's going to be very busy, but over the last 3 laps when we've been talking, this is important. Hutu has charged away now to a 1.7 second gap over Axel Kirchhoff, and Hugo Luis has dropped back to 3 seconds behind Axel Kirchhoff right now. So I think Louis and Kroenke both need to be hoping and praying that they have got, I don't know, at least 3 laps more fuel than Hutu and Kirchhoff ahead of them. Otherwise, they're not going to have a shot at trying to get victory here.
Yeah, but even in clean air, they're not fast enough to catch these guys. Even working together, they weren't able to push up. Even when they swapped positions around, and it was like Lewis is faster than Kroenke, but clearly not. They're both on about the same pace.
And very quickly, let's have a look at the winners and gainers in this race. I mean, of course, Hugo Luis up into 3rd position from 5th. He's one of the biggest guys. Max Alorco as well. He's gained 2 positions. So 2 guys in the top 10 really making some headrow. And then Davide Corps in that 11th position right now. Ben Cornette in 13th. They've both gained so many places in this race. And Timo Ivonen as well. I mean, look at the positions that some of these guys have made as they come through the field.
Yeah, a lot of that's just down to their sheer pace, that they're able, their sheer race pace, and the way that they've got their car set up. So as the race progresses, the car doesn't become as unstable as other people's cars. I mean, I'm sorry, just looking at Leckie again, he's catching up to Boucher for 7th place here. So as I predicted, it's not going to be long before he's going to be on the back of Sturgis, but I don't think he's got enough pace to catch McLean there.
So we're going to go on board with Alexei Yakola as he comes past start-finish line, and as you see there, Boucher is going right down to the inside wall. Yakola is trying to play mind games of his own. Will he make the dive into 1? No, he won't. But Yakola really has got some good straight line speed there in that number 39 Team Orion car as he's trying to catch Andre Boucher right now, the My3ID driver, currently running in the 7th position in that number 13 car. Meanwhile, Gregor Hutu, that last time by a 1 minute 35.967, Ben.
Yeah, this is definitely coming down to fuel loads are really dropping down, and they have a big impact on your race pace, on the lap times as well. But another update as well, Blake Townend is catching Ben Cornette hand over fist, so he'll be looking at taking that 13th position away.
Taking that 13th position away will be very interesting. And Blake Townend again having his standout drive once again. Don't forget, early on in this race he was battling just to stay inside the top 20. Now up into the 14th position is the 23 car Blake Townend, hailing from Milton Keynes in England. But meanwhile, we are so close now to half race distance in the 4th round of the iRacing.com World Championship Series here on GlacierTV. With Vincent, Ben Rothberg, David Ward in the booth for this race. And very quickly, I'd like to give out a big shout out, first of all, to World Championship Tipping, brought to you by Team Redline. For more information, go to teamredline.co.uk/tipping, and also to iRacing as well, iRacing.com, for more information about the world's most realistic simulation racing experience. Working ourselves on lap number 24, and Hutu that last time by a 1 minute 35.942. Actually, Kirchhoff, I think his tyres are gone now, Ben, because he's struggling to even get 1 minute 36s.
Certainly is, but the man to watch, Luke McLean, 135.948.
Wow.
Whoa, that's quick.
Yeah, it is quick, and right now Luke McLean in that number 24 car is catching Martin Kroenke. He is catching Hugo Luis. I mean, he's got 3 seconds to gain, but if anything happens to Kroenke or Luis on pit road, then there's a chance that McLean could leapfrog. And how important will that be for Team Redline? Because remember, if Luis doesn't finish in 3rd position and Hutu wins this race, Hutu will go to the top of the championship standings, Ben.
Team Redline want as many of their drivers ahead of Hugo Luis at the end of this race. Artie Kirchhoff and Gregor Hutu will be doing their best to get Gregor in first and Hugo as far down as they can. And that's Martin Kroenke's doing the reverse strategy. He'll be trying to get Hugo as close as he can to Artie to close the gap to Gregor. If not first, try and get second to minimise that points loss.
I mean, who's to say that Kirchhoff doesn't drop back and actually back up Luis and Kroenke into McLean, so then he can get that lead?
It's a dangerous strategy, but it's one that could work. And, I mean, we always talk about driver tracks, for example, you know, that tracks that maybe Hutu might be faster than Luis, but let's not forget there's a huge team aspect to this as well. And traditionally, this has always been a Team Redline track. Hutu won here last year. And let's not forget, Hutu already has 2 wins to his name in the highest level iRacing World Championship Series as well. Meanwhile, Blake Townend looks as though that he is very close to Ben Cornett right now in the battle for the 13th position, coming out of turn number 2. And this is going to be interesting right now to see, David, whether or not Townend has got the straight line speed to make that move down into 5. It looks like he's close, but not quite close enough. At 1:36.4 last time by, though.
Yeah, he's really stepping up the pace now. I've been watching Blake, but he's putting Cornett under quite a bit of pressure. Yeah, he made Cornett go defensive on the straight down into turn 1. He's definitely got the straight line speed. I think he's got a little bit of aero push because he's running maybe he's running a low downforce package here, and just getting that dirty air effect. I mean, they're coming through the long right-hand carousel now, and this is where the car can really start pushing out wide if you're stuck behind someone a little bit slower than you. But he'll get it. I think he'll have him on this as they get up onto the start-finish straight.
And Townend really is charging right now in that number 23. But ahead of them, Alexei Usiakola so close now to Borcha. He will make the pass. He will go side by side. The iron driver there of Alexei Usiakola down into turn number 1 will overtake there. Andre Borcha driving from Team My3ID.
Oh.
And look who's right there as well, Jake Sturgis. Behind them, however, it is so close, and will he get the job done? No, and it looks like actually that Townend came down the pit road as well as Marcus Catan.
Yeah, I was just going to say Blake's down in down into pit road now.
Borcha on the outside down into turn number 5. Wasn't going to allow him to get it, but the Akola there, it looks like that Borcha got a little bit loose coming down into turn 5. He now falls into line, but Alexei Usiakola, let's not forget this as well, he has now caught Jake Sturgis, and Sturgis for a while was kind of running in no man's land. He has been hunted down by Alexei Usiakola and Borcha, and also Max Dell'Orco coming into picture as well right now.
Yeah, everyone's all of a sudden just started picking up their pace. Obviously this comes down to fuel loads are getting lower, so the cars can run a lot quicker. But it's amazing like how Gregor's just absolutely pumped out another fast lap, and now Kirchhoff is 3 seconds behind, but Luis is looks like he was catching him at one point.
And I tell you what, Twitter sphere erupted there with that 39 car of Alexei Usiakola making that pass. And as always, the other pronunciations coming into play. Alexei Professional Driver, that is Paolo Acuzzo's version. Maximo Volte say Yakola Super. So that is his shout out there. So that pass there on Andre Borcha. But it's going to be so interesting right now. We're going to have a 4-way battle, I think, between Jake Sturgis, Alexei Usiakola, Andre Borcha, and Max Dell'Orco once they come out of pit road. And don't kind of like, you know, remove Fulvio Barrazzoni from the equation as well. That guy is very good at coming into play later on into the race. Right now, though, between Gregor Hutu and Axel Kirchhoff, that is now up to 3.2 seconds on the racetrack. Hutu over Kirchhoff. And we are approaching pit stops. We've got 20 laps before the end of this race. We do expect drivers to make that journey onto pit road soon. We have a couple of retirements as well. Stephen Michaels now is out of the race. We need to see what happened to him. But it looks as though that Michaels just had a bit of an issue. He brought that car onto pit road, and I think he might have run out of fuel or something. He got tired, he came out of the racetrack, came back on, and then he just parked that car into the garage. We're trying to see if there's any incident to him. But meanwhile, we have Christian Laurent on pit road, Miguel Martin on pit road, Ika Hapala on pit road, and also Hal Codasso as well.
Yeah, it's definitely the fuel window time has come in, so they're coming in to get fuel and tyres and see if they can make some jumps. Still waiting for the leaders, the top 5 guys, to make their move. But Aleski Loma, he's jumped up now. He's battling for. Oh, he comes down pit road here, so that's why he was able to make those moves on the straight, running less fuel.
So Alexei Usiakola there in the 39 car onto pit road to make his one and only pit stop of the day. One of the earlier drivers to blink. However, we expect most of these drivers to be in perhaps the next 3 or 4 laps maximum. Right now, Gregor Hutu in the number 1 machine, working himself now out of turn number 6, now down into turn 7, down into turn number 8 he will come. He's got some lap traffic ahead of him, so that might have an impact on when he decides to come onto pit road. That's Simon Cattell and Marcus Caton as well ahead of him. And actually, one of his, I'll tell you what, Hutu is very close now to closing up on Marcus Caton. He will possibly get to him before turn number 1 of the next lap. Andy Kirchhoff in the second position. He's still 3 seconds behind Gregor Hutu, but last time by a 1 minute 35.499. Petru Kotovara, to give you an update, has been able to pass Blake Townend. That was a move done on pit road. So Kotovara got out ahead, and Kotovara right now is attacking Christian Loren on the start-finish straight. He will get the job done there to move the Ferrari Azura racing car now up into what is currently the 18th position on the racetrack. And Hutu's onto pit road, Kirchhoff is onto pit road, Luis onto pit road, and Kroenke all onto pit road, as is McLean. And so the top 5 drivers all onto pit road at exactly the same time. You cannot ask for pushing more than this. Sturgis onto pit road, Andre Borcha onto pit road, Max DeLorco for the time being will go to the lead of the race. But here comes Hutu, here comes Kirchhoff, and here comes Hugo Luis and Martin Kroenke and Luke McLean. These top 5 drivers have got it all to do on pit road now. Hutu into his pit box, Kirchhoff into his pit box as well, and Hutu should come out first. That's the way it should work. And you see, indeed there, Hutu comes out first, Kirchhoff will come out in second, Hugo Luis will come out in third, and it looks as though actually the red line guy is able to pull out a bit of an advantage there.
McLean has just jumped Kroenke in the pits there. Awesome, really good strategy. So this is what McLean needed so he could get the jump, because he's going to be quick. He's going to be quick now, and if he can just get onto the top of Luis. But Kroenke again, pit strategy just doesn't work out for him. It's such a shame because he's got such a fast pace.
And let's not forget, Kroenke in these first 3 or 4 laps is where he struggles the most. And right now he has to hang on, as you see going sideways there, coming out of turn number 5. This is the part of the race where he has the hope now that Luke McLean cannot pull out the advantage. We know how good these red line drivers are on cold tyres. We'll have to keep an eye out on Hugo Luis as well. He came out in that 3rd position. An update on the pit times. Gregor Hutu did 7.5 seconds, Antti Kirchhoff 7.9, Hugo Luis 7.3, Martin Kroenke 7.9, but Luke McLean 5.8 seconds on pit road. And Ben, he must have had some great pit crews there.
That's a grouse. That's the word of the night tonight. That's an awesome pit stop. I'll tell you what, must be those Aussie pit crew up at midnight. I'll tell you what, pretty good.
Yeah, they're thinking, let's just get you out so we can go to sleep. But meanwhile, your race leader for the time being is Max DeLorco in the number 52 car. We talked about how he owns a record. We talked about how he's also one of those drivers. He's very, very good on the alternative chassis. He's tried it a couple of times in the iRacing.com Pro Series of Road Racing. Right now, Fulvio Barrisoni is in 2nd position as well. But let's talk about DeLorco, because he's got a chance of leapfrogging a couple of positions. A 1 minute 35.939 last time by there for Max DeLorco.
Yeah, that's a really, really good lap. Obviously low on fuel now and leading the race, so he just wants to get some airtime here, I think. But yeah, don't take away his ability as a driver. He wouldn't be here without his skill.
Couple of drivers, however, struggling on pit road. First one of them would be Alexei Isiakola, who dropped back behind Andre Borcha as they made their journeys onto pit road. And also big issues for Paul Ilbring. He had an issue on pit road. He overshot his pit box and then got a black flag trying to reverse back into it. So he right now is all the way down the field, and that's hugely disappointing there for Paul Ilbring.
Yeah, he'd be really gutted over that. I'm just looking through the field now, and it looks like Blake's actually managed to catch up. He's sitting in the 15th. We haven't had everyone pit, have we? We've been...
No, DeLorco's not pitted yet.
Neither has Pino.
Kotovara, I'm sure he'd pass someone on pit road. He's just come back in, so perhaps a black flag there for Petru Kotovara. But DeLorco is still leading this race, and he's gone, what, this is going to be 3 laps longer as Fulvio Barrisoni now comes down the pit road, so he will relinquish that 2nd position for the time being. But Max DeLorco 3 laps longer than Hutu and Kirchhoff.
Maybe he's just trying to get that jump on. This is where the strategy plays out, because when he comes into the pits, he has to put less fuel in the car, equaling less time in the pits. So he'll be able to jump all those people who pitted a little bit earlier than him. And as we've seen, Max McLean, maybe he was didn't have to fuel as much, so he was able to jump Kroenke.
But the important thing is that Max Alorco, last time by, his personal best, a 1 minute 35.840. We are going to keep with Dell'Orco in that number 52 Azura Racing car as he comes down into turn number 12, Canada corner once again. See whether he's got to pit this time by, surely. He has got to be running on fumes. He comes down into turn number 13, makes that flick over the curb, now down into turn number 14. I tell you what, if he stayed out on the racetrack, this could be one of the fastest laps of the race, but he does finally come down onto a pit road. We'll try and stay on board of him as he goes down to 45 miles an hour. Perfect there onto pit road. Just dipped to about 43 miles an hour before he came in, but nicely on the brakes, not taking too much. And this is still uphill here. And if you're one of the guys towards the rear of the field, you can't see your pit box until it's a little bit too late. But Max Alorco, don't forget, he started this race down in the 11th position. He's looking for a solid top 10 finish here. Now he'll come down into his pit box to get 4 fresh tyres, and he will top up with race gas as well. And don't forget, he'll only have to do 15 laps on this stint. So he'll be less in his pit box. It should be one of the faster pit stops of the day. He is out and away, and let's see where he feeds him. Jake Sturgis will just probably come out ahead of him, and it's going to be close, but Max Alorco, in fact, will just come out ahead of Jake Sturgis, in fact, by about 3 seconds. Max Alorco into the 6th position.
That is awesome. So, yeah, Max Alorco, strategy played out for him, being able to stay out that little bit longer, not have to take as much fuel as the other guys, and was able to make that jump. And he's going to be on light fuel for this run as well, so and fresh tyres, so it'll be really difficult to pass.
Clean air at the front of the field.
It's worth so much more than people say. In those 3 laps, you know, he was able to do 1 minute 35 compared to the fact, you know, it's normally 1 minute 37, 1 minute 38 that these guys were doing. So he's able to gain at least a second and a half each lap. Add on to the fact as well, he's probably had to be in his pit box for about a second and a half minimum less than everyone else. It made a huge impact. And right now, Max Alorco, yes, he's 9 seconds behind Martin Kroenke, but the important thing is right now he is 3.4 seconds right now ahead of Jake Sturgis, and it's been pulling away over about 2 tenths of a second this last lap. So very quickly, we're going to show you again, and now everyone is pitted, gains and losses, and Gregor Hutu, of course, starting this race on pole, is still leading the race. Kirchhoff, he's gained up 1 position. Hugo Luis has gained up 2 spots, and this is important as well right now for Luis. If he comes home in the 3rd position, he will be tying with Gregor Hutu as they come out of this race, round number 4 of the championship. And Ben, we're going to have to say, I don't think we've ever had as close its first 4 races of the season as this, and we've not been able to call it yet. And this is going to be like just like 2011, perhaps one of the most competitive seasons we have ever had in this series.
I do agree. There's a lot of new names who are not new. They've been around for a while now. Archie Kirchhoff's up there. Martin Kroenke showing really good pace to start of this season. Max Alorco showing good pace this race. Jake Sturgis is always up there and thereabouts. Now there's some new guys. Andre Bocha, Barazzoni, Yacola, David Dorcups. All these guys who have taken over from the older guys who have stepped away from the series or haven't got as much time for it. These guys are doing a fantastic effort and it's producing amazing racing.
Meanwhile, Fulvio Barazzoni right now is trying to catch Jake Sturgis. Fulvio Barazzoni there in the number 10 machine, trying to hunt down Jake Sturgis. Last time by, he was a full second quicker, and the gap between these 2 drivers right now is 1.4 seconds on the racetrack. So if Barazzoni can get another good lap and a half or so, David, he'll be right there in the draft and able to catch up to the rear of Jake Sturgis. The fastest lap time between those 2, Barazzoni has the fastest lap time, about 13/100ths of a second faster than Jake Sturgis.
Yeah, it looks like Jake probably made a mistake there to be in the 38s. Not quite sure what's going on there, but yeah, he's definitely in clean air at the moment, but he's gonna get swallowed up as well, because don't forget you've got Oleski, who's absolutely charging. He's just done a 37 dead, which is a lot quicker, almost 3/10 quicker than the 3 cars in front of him. So he's going to be pushing himself back up into the top 10. Oh well, yeah, into the top 10, 7th by the end of this, I think.
Yeah, meanwhile, Rick Renatalo around the outside, coming down into Canada corner. Will he try and get that position back? He lost it after a lap ago there to Miguel Martin. He's now been able to get back past. In fact, I take that back. It's Hal Cordasso who lost that position to. He's just been able to get past. So Rick Renatalo now back up into the 21st position on the racetrack. And him and Cordasso have been batting it out the last couple of laps. But let's reset it for you. Let's give you your top 10 drivers. Gregor Hutu is still your race leader. That gap to himself and Ati Kirchhoff is now up to 4.5 seconds on the racetrack. Nothing to be taken away there though forever for Kirchhoff, because for the first 90% of that first stint he was able to stay right there with his Team Redline teammate of Gregor Hutu. Hugo Louis in 3rd, Luke McLean in 4th, and Martin Conke in 5th, Max DeLorque 6th, Jake Sturgill 7th, a charging Fulvio Barazoni in 8th, Andrew Borcher in 9th, and Alexei Yusi rounds out your top 10. The rest of the drivers in the field will be coming up on your screen momentarily as well. And let's turn our attention back to Luke McLean right now, because he is struggling to really close up to the rear of Hugo Louis. That last time by, he did a 1:36.777. He was 2 tenths per second faster than Hugo Louis ahead, but I don't think he's got enough laps to do it right now, Ben.
I do. I think Ati Kirchhoff is not. I don't know if it's a strategy game or not, but every couple of laps Hugo catches him by about 5/10 on the lap times, and maybe it's something the Team Redline have thought about, and they're trying to push Hugo back into the cusp of Luke, but just gonna have to wait and see.
It's gonna be interesting. Come.
Yeah, I think that's what they're playing at. They want a 1-2-3 podium result. Really, they don't want any Myo 3ID guys on the podium. Controversial, I know, but that's might be how they're playing it.
Controversial indeed. Luke McLean in that 24 car. He is catching. I mean, actually, that last lap he pulled back a little bit from the rear of Hugo Louis. He's lost himself about 1/10 of a second so far in this lap. We'll get confirmation as they come out of the final corner and work themselves up the start-finish stripe once again. Meanwhile, we're going to go on board with Gregor Hutu, so we're going to put the cameras on him and we'll be right back. So, very interesting perspective there from Gregor Hutu in the #1 machine, as he's still putting out a gap there from Ati Kirchhoff. Even though this late in the race, you could argue the fact he doesn't need that much of an advantage, because he's got 4.8 seconds in his pocket right now to Ati Kirchhoff in that #5 car. But Kirchhoff is still turning very fast laps. That last time, actually, he was 2/10 of a second faster than Gregor Hutu in that first position. But let's turn our attention back to this Kirchhoff-Louis McLean battle, because it's from 2nd, 3rd and 4th position, and now Luke McLean can see, as he comes up the start-finish straight, he can see Hugo Louis and he can see Ati Kirchhoff as well. So they come past the strike. Kirchhoff does a 1:36.6. For Hugo Louis, it's a 1:36.5. For Luke McLean, a 1:36.487. So McLean is the fastest of these three drivers, but I have to say, we've got 10 laps of this race left to go, and McLean has still got to catch 3.3 seconds over Hugo Louis. So unless Kirchhoff really does start dramatically slowing, I'm not with these other two guys. I'm actually going to say that, you know, I think that McLean will have to settle for that 4th position. However, turn our attention to the battle right now for 7th and 8th positions on the racetrack between Jake Sturgis and Fulvio Barrazzoni. Last time by, Sturgis was able to pull out a bit of a gap over Fulvio Barrazzoni, but I have to say, Ben, he has been charging that number 10 machine of Fulvio Barrazzoni ever since that pit stop, and he came out in that 8th position.
He certainly has, but the one that's been on my radar and been lighting up the tiling screen is the number 13 machine of Andre Bocha. Has just posted a 10th and a half quicker than both the guys in front of him. This is going to be a really good battle with the at the end of the race. Hopefully they're going to be able to catch up and bunch up together.
And for Barrazzoni right now, I mean, he's not got a lot to lose. I mean, he's got himself, what, a 2-second gap to Andre Bocha behind. He's got himself 1.7 seconds to Jake Sturgis ahead. I think Barrazzoni right now, he does need to carry on pushing because Bocha is still doing some pretty fast laps. Last time by, Bocha did in 1 minute 36.943. And he was catching, say, 0.2 of a second, as Ben said there, over the number 10 machine of Fulvio Barrazzoni. And also, Alexei Yakoda is not out of this as well. We know how good Yakoda is as soon as he gets into light fuel. And I have to say, though, that David, Yakoda's kind of faded since that pit stop. Ever since Bocha came out ahead of him, just looks as though Yakoda hasn't had the handling on this car that he wanted.
No, I think his car works better on the lower fuel. He was gaining, and then he's just not been able to produce that high level pace again. I mean, he's just on a 36.8 now, and that's up with Bocha's 36.9. So it's not quite as quick as it was, but he could be going into this dirty air effect. I mean, you know, it is difficult to drive these cars at this level, especially when you're carrying fuel as well.
Very quick, we're going to check in on the battle for 21st, 22nd and 23rd, because Rico Natale that last time by made a huge moment, almost spun his car. This has allowed Petru Cotavara to play straight up to him, and of course as well Hauko Dasso in the mix here as well, a three-way battle. And Cotavara and Natale, you know, they don't know each other very well, but it does show, Ben, that as soon as you get onto the racetrack, you put your friendships aside and you are just racing for the fact that, again, as we said before, every point counts.
Oh, yeah, exactly right. These guys will, they'll be best friends until the race starts. Then they'll be enemies. They won't, like, hit each other and whatnot, but they'll race each other hard. Accidents do happen occasionally, as we know from Suzuka. But, like, these guys will come off the track, they'll probably have a handshake, have a good laugh, and it'll be all good again. They'll come back in at the next round and do exactly the same thing. These guys all have a great friendship.
And don't forget as well, the next time we'll be with you for the iRacing.com World Championship Series will be in 2 weeks' time. We're going to go over to Ben's place. We're going to go over to Phillip Island for the 5th round of the iRacing.com World Championship Series. There's so many great racetracks that we're going to over the course of the next year. At Phillip Island, 69 laps then. It's such a tough and demanding racetrack that these guys will probably find it one of the most physical challenges they'll have all season.
You've got no place for a break. Like here, you've got like 3 long straights where you can have a break, have a breather, have a drink. Phillip Island, you've got 1 straight, and then you're flat into turn 1. And the concentration level needed around that circuit is just ridiculous. I don't know how these guys are going to do it for 69 laps, to be completely honest.
And don't forget, as they come out of pit road as well, flat out, you got cars coming out of pit road and you've got cars on the racetrack trying to pass. It's a very difficult turn and one. We'll talk more about that next week, of course, but meanwhile, back to Road America. Less than 10 laps left to go, and your race leader is still Gregor Hutu. Second place driver is still Ati Kirchhoff, and Hugo Louis still in the 3rd position, but still, now here comes Petru Cotavara. He's going to make that pass out on Rico Alatalo, and I have to say that Alatalo possibly made it easy there for Petru Cotavara, as they both got lap traffic ahead on. That is Dion Verges in the 22 car, but moved Petru Cotavara now up into the 21st position on the racetrack. Ahead of them right now, I just saw Yakoda getting sideways there. He's caught up again to the rear of Andre Bocha, but Yakoda, and the last 10 laps of his stint, I have to say, really is one of the fastest guys on the racetrack, David.
Yeah, I've just been watching him. All of a sudden, the car just switches on, and Bocha's gone defensive really early to try and break that draft. But it's only a matter of time before Colo makes his move. Probably another lap, I think, and they'll have him.
and it looks as though that how Cordasso is falling back a little bit as well in that freeway battle. It looks like he might have a little bit of wing damage. We'll get a confirmation of that. But about Yokota, I mean, we've talked about how Martin Conke's car is horrible, we think, on high fuel. And I think that Yokota in that Team Orion car as well struggles from the same issue. That it takes him a lot of time, you know, to get those tyres up to temperature. I don't think that car works on full fuel, but as soon as that fuel comes out, this is an important thing, Ben. You make your final positions at the end of the race when you have pretty much no fuel in the car. In some ways, you could argue it might be better to have a car that kind of kicks into gear, and you just have to drive through it for those first couple of laps. Yeah,
well, I know personally when I like driving this car, I enjoy having, when it's on full fuel, it's really stable. A lot of these guys drive this car when it's on full fuel really sideways, and that's why they're quick. It's all about driving style, how you like to drive the car.
And as they come down into Canada corner once again, this is what you're seeing on your screens coming down into turn number 12. Yokota is closing. You will see this time as they come out of turn number 14 onto the front straightaway. You will see Andre Borcher go very defensive very early. In fact, Borcher will take a different line through this corner. He'll get the run out of it, goes over the curb a little bit. All of a sudden, he'll go immediately to the centre of the racetrack. Now he'll go all the way to the wall there. You see the wall that separates pit road from the racetrack, and then flick all the way across. You can make one move. And for Borcher, he's going to make sure he gets back across the racetrack. And that one move rule does mean that he's got to think, wait a minute, if I carry on that inside wall too long, then there's a chance I can't even make the corner. And when you're defensive driving, it's something that you've got to take into mind, David.
Yeah, you can go defensive for so long, but you don't want to compromise your corner entry, and especially your corner entries. It goes. I thought he was going to have a look down the inside then, but yeah, he just needs to, like say, he's weaving around trying to fill up his mirrors and possibly distract Borcher. There might be an opportunity to take a move down here, but he's not close enough. Again, he'll have to wait till the start-finish straight and see if he can get the run on him.
Don't forget as well, for Yokota, he doesn't just have to make the one move. He can weave behind all he wants. Of course, it might make him a little bit slow if he carries on doing it. But next to you see Yokota in that number 39 car is still hunting down Andre Borcher. And to give you an update as well on the way they're doing with Fulvio Barrazzoni, ever since Borcher's had to start defensive driving, he's allowed Fulvio Barrazzoni to kind of pull out a tiny bit. They're still doing very consistent lap times. I think that if Yokota was to get past, he'll be able to storm right up to the rear of Barrazzoni, but they work themselves into turn 13, now into 14 once again. Yokota, as close as he has ever been. He's not been able to get turn 14 nailed again. He was a little bit slip slidey as he came out the corner, as they worked himself up the front straight away. This is where Yokota gets the advantage on this run down into turn number 1. And you see Borcher there, he's not gone defensive just yet. Now he comes down, Yokota not quite close enough to make a pass. And the guys are saying, we need some DRS in this thing. I don't think we do, because it's been great racing all race long. We've got ourselves 5 laps left to go up the line. And these guys have been at it hammer and tongue without any of the gimmicks of DRS or curves, any of that. Just pure driving. Yokota might get a good run again as they come down to turn number 5. You can take the outside line here. You see Borcher, he's gone very defensive very early. Yokota to the outside line. Will he get the job done? Not quite there. And he wasn't quite able to get the cuff under either as they came down underneath the Corvette bridge into turn 6. Meanwhile, Timo Räikkönen up into P16, and he's passed Christian Lorenz.
Yeah, Lisk is like so much quicker than Borcher now. It's just a matter of time pressurising him into making a mistake. He's not got very many laps to do it, and I'm sure he's like chomping at the bit, just wanting to get by. Look at the understeer there as they go around the carousel. As they go into the right-hand kink here, he's going to get a really good run here, and Borcher needs to go super defensive to stop him as he does. Oh, chops his nose off, but it's like he can outbrake him.
Yokota's going to go wide. He's going to touch the grass, and they almost they do touch there. You see Yokota, Borcher into the air. Borcher's going to be out of the race, and that's going to be hugely upsetting there for Andre Borcher. And it was the slightest of touches there, but Andre Borcher is going to be out of the race. But it's going to be, I don't think there's anything there that Alexei Yakola could have done differently. He did overshoot the corner a tiny bit, but he will move up into that 9th position, and with less than 4 laps left to go, let's see whether he can try and close down Fulvio Barrazzoni. The gap between those two drivers will have increased quite dramatically, and right now it is up to about 4 seconds on the racetrack. Perhaps Yakola is not going to be able to get the job done, but Hutu is still leading the way. Kirchhoff is in 2nd, Louise is in 3rd, and I have to say, Ben, looks like McLean has given up the ghost now. He's now 5 seconds behind Hugo Louise, and actually going very slowly there through the carousel.
Yeah, I do agree with that. He's actually, yeah.
Fuel.
Yeah,
You're right.
Yeah.
Just turned his map down. You can tell he's just breathing really heavily. This is going to give Kroenke a chance now, so we're going to have a battle for 4th and 5th.
Yeah, and you see super slow mo there, the GlacierTV X-Low cam with the contact there between Alexei Yakola, and it was very close between those two drivers. I have to say, though, we've got to talk about the Luke McLean issue. And you talk about the last lap of Road America, you've got to make it all the way to the start-finish line, because if you run out of fuel before then, you're going to roll back down, essentially, into the final corner. And let's not forget, Luke McLean, he did a 5.8 second pit stop time. He was 2 seconds less on the track than these guys, and I think that was done deliberately to try and get him out ahead of Louis. It didn't work.
Hang on, yeah, what's happened to Martin Kroenke here?
Yeah,
Kroenke's just done a 47.
He might be full saving as well. We'll have a look, and this could be huge. I mean, at the end of the day,
Kroenke had a self-spin on the last lap down at turn 3, just got too much of the curb, self-spun himself around, and DeLorco just went straight around the outside of him.
So, Martin Kroenke, he doesn't make issues normally, though, and that's one of the first big issues I've seen Martin Kroenke make in ages. But I still think he might have been saving fuel as well, because that's a very clumsy mistake, actually, not the sort of thing you do when you're racing at 100% on the limit. And I also think as well, Max DeLorco, he's not really using that full car. I'm going to have to keep an eye out. I can't really hear the engine notes, but McLean definitely is slow.
McLean's definitely slow, but DeLorco's running 36.1, so he's going to try and chase down McLean, but I don't think there's enough time for him to get that back, even if McLean drops second a lap. He's still got it in the bag, really.
That's a very he's an Aussie. I don't really want to put him down, but it's a pretty poor mistake that he's that low on fuel with 4 or 5 laps to go.
Yeah, it's not the sort of mistake, we see so often that drivers, struggle on the last lap. You see guys running out of fuel on the last lap, but that he did pick up the pace that last time by. He did a 1 minute 35.547. So whether or not McLean was just trying to get the fastest lap of the race, I don't know, or confuse us, but he just did a 1 minute 35.547, which, I'm having a look, is actually his fastest lap of the race. What's going on right now with Luke McLean, David?
I will have to ask him after the race. We can only speculate at the moment that he's having fueling issues. Maybe he was just taking a little break as he knew he wasn't going to catch Luis, and maybe the Kroenke DeLorco came up on his F3 and he was just a little bit like, oh, what's going on here?
But the important thing is, your top 3 drivers, as they have been, it's still Gregor Houty losing the wire. That gap now 5.3 seconds over Atsi Kirchhoff. Hugo Louis a further 2.8 seconds back, and there's no fuel saving going on between these drivers. Meanwhile, Fulvio Barrazzoni has caught up once again kind of to the rear of Jake Sturgis. That gap right now is just 7 seconds of a second on the racetrack between Sturgis and Barrazzoni. And let's not forget, Alexei Yakola is kind of catching these two as well. That last time by Yakola, a 1 minute 36.103.
Luke's in the line.
Oh no, for Luke McLean, this is going to really shake things up. And I'll tell you who the big winner of this is. The guy who started in the 11th position, Max DeLorco, is going to be running in the 4th position.
That's an amazing result. That comes down to the strategy that he played out. He had the car fueled more, so when he came into the pits, he had to take less on, and it's really worked out for him. And now he's got a quick car as well. It's not like he's He's not able to run a hot pace. He's doing 35.9s at the moment.
McLean comes out of pit road, and it looks as though that he's just going to get ahead there of Davy de Corp. So that costed Luke McLean 5 positions there. And I think, Ben, this does come back to the idea that they're trying to get the 3 lead line guys at line of stern and perhaps, you know, upset Hugo Louis a little bit. But I mean, we noticed it a little bit. He was 2 seconds faster on pit road, but you expect these pit crews to put enough fuel into the car. Simple as that.
Yeah, it's a hard one. You can really look into it all afternoon, but at the end of the day, he hasn't put enough fuel in. Obviously, he thought he could make up enough time in pit road that he could jump Hugo. It hasn't worked, and it's a double negative. He hasn't jumped Hugo, and he's also had to pit again, which is unfortunate.
But meanwhile, into the last lap here in Road America, down into turn number 1 for Gregor Hutu for the final time. And we've not really talked about Hutu that much over the last 10-15 laps, but you can't take it away from him, David. He has just been astonishing on the track that he already has 2 wins to his name at.
Yeah, I think, as I said earlier, he was the guy to watch. He got the pole position. He got a really good run. He had his teammate who got the jump on him at the start. I'm sure they'll be having a quick chat with each other afterwards to find out how he did that. So, yeah, Hutu, amazing drive, consistent, fast. Didn't really expect anything else.
Down he comes now, down into turn number 8 for the final time for Gregor Hutu. He's got that gap kind of stabilised right now, about 4.5 seconds between himself and Axel Kirkhoff. There's no real battles going on the racetrack, but we'll keep an eye out over the course of the next minute or so. Gregor Hutu, as always, he's got himself a couple of gap cars ahead, and they won't come into play at all unless they run out of fuel in the final corner, of course. Petri Kotovar, the last guy on the lead lap. 20 cars are going to finish on the lead lap here today at Road America. Hutu down into Canada corner for the final time. We have got a crash on the main straightaway. This won't affect the leader at all, but we have a crash, and it's actually Blake Townend there in the 23 car and Christian Laurent. But Gregor Hutu comes out the final corner for the final time, and he's going to get 3 wins now out of 4 attempts at Road America. Hutu dominates Road America once again. Axel Kirkhoff will come home in the 2nd position. Hugo Louis will come home in 3rd. Max DeLorco is going to work himself now down into turn number 14 for the final time. We'll give you an update on what happened there with Blake Townend in a couple of moments' time. DeLorco is going to come home and claim 4th position. Many of our fans, driver of the race nominee there, and Martin Conke will come home to round out your top 5. Jake Sturgis in 6th, Fulvio Barrazzoni in 7th, not going to be quite close enough there to get 6th position. Yakola comes home 8th, Luke McLean out the final corner. He will come home in 9th, and he'll be hugely annoyed there by what happened to him in those last 10 laps. And David Corp to round out your top 10. But to go back to see what happened there with Blake Townend, it was coming down on the front straightaway, and it just looked as though, I'm not sure if he ran out of fuel or what happened.
Yeah,
it looks like he
just
ran into the back.
Yeah, it just looks like lost complete engine power. As if you look at the speeds on the telemetry, Townend's just completely dropped off, and the teammate just had nowhere to go really. It's because the closing speeds then would just be so fast.
At the point where the two hit, I mean, Blake Townend, he was doing 155 miles an hour. Timo Evening was doing 100, and you saw that Evening stamped on the brakes to try and avoid him. But Blake Townend there, he's doing 150 miles an hour, and he must have either run out of fuel. He just had an engine failure there coming up the hill. I mean, engine failures are so rare, but they can happen at a bumpy track like this where you do abuse the curves. But meanwhile, we'll go back over to the Team Redline celebration between Gregor Hutu and Axel Kirkhoff. 1 and 2 there for Team Redline. Hugo Louis comes home in the 3rd position, and Ben, I called it at the start of the race, we lead Road America with the top 2 drivers in the points separated by nothing.
That's probably a good thing. I mean, it kind of evens everything out for them, so they'll come into the next round and it's all to play for again.
Yeah, that Blake incident has just got me baffled. absolutely baffled with what happened there. It's like he's thrown in the clutch, or he's maybe hit his engine ignition button or whatnot, but like...
Just hearing on the radios, they might have hit the pit limiter.
But you can't hit. I mean, it's only 2 seconds there, but you can tell the performance and engine gap, and he was slowing down. He slowed down 40 miles an hour. So we'll talk more about that in the GlacierTV post-race show. However, to run through your final race results, then is Gregor Hutu taking victory by 3.7 seconds over Atsi Kirchhoff. Hugo Louis comes home in the 3rd position. Max Alorco in 4th. Barton Kroenke in 5th. Jake Sturgis in 6th. Fulvio Barazoni in 7th. Alexei Yakola comes home in the 8th position. In 9th is Luke McLean. 10th is David Corpse. And then 11th is Joni Tamala. 12th is Jason Lover. 13th, Timo Ivinen, Ben Cornett. 14th, Ika Hapala. 15th, Marcus Caton in 16th. Miguel Martin 17th. And then Blake Town 18th. Christian Loren 19th. Petri Kotobara in 20th. We apologise, some of these are slightly out of order because of the fact that drivers are running out of fuel, and also the incident of Blake Townend on the final lap, but the rest of the results coming up on your screen momentarily. We are getting more word from Andy Kerstoffer, the team manager of Radicals, the fact that he hit the pit button, but I'll tell you what, it's a bad way for those two drivers to have their race ended. Timo Ivinen was able to come home in the 13th position, but hugely disappointing. And I tell you what, I've just noticed this. Ben Cornett, Ika Hapara, 14th and 15th positions. Look how close they were at the line, guys. 1/1000th of a second.
Oh, wow. Need to go back and have a look at the replay on that as they crossed the line.
And that was very, very close there between the Orion driver of Ika Hapara and the Team Redline car there of Ben Cornett. And love him or hate him, Ben Cornett is one of the biggest personalities in this series. I think he's going to be happy that he came out of that one 1,000th of a second ahead there.
Yeah, he didn't. Don't think he had a very good qualifying either. He was a little bit down on where I thought he would be, but he's had a good run. So yeah, moving on to the next race.
That's extremely close between Ben Cornett and Hapola there, but I'll tell you what, I want to ask you guys first before I make my opinion. Gregor and Atsi, should have Atsi led off the gas and let Gregor through?
Well, at the end of the day, you saw how fast Hutu was in that, you know, in that stage of the race, just before the pit stops. He was able to pull out a gap of 3 seconds. And in my opinion, I think it's one of those things that, get it out of the way now. And, I mean, Atsi was able to stay with Hutu. I think that overall, the fact that, you know, they were trying to pull away a Kroenke and Louis, and I think that there wasn't too much of an issue there. And we know how good Hutu is in the second third of a fuel stim. The fact that he was able to just get dominating there in that second third and pull out what, a 3.5-4 second gap. I think that was important, and I'd rather, if it was me, have the discussion and do it then early on in the race than have it halfway through when the emotions are high and there's so much more to think about coming onto pit road. But in fact, we can talk right now to the team manager of Team Redline, Dom DeHaas. So first of all, congratulations on a 1-2 finish.
Thank you so much, Will. Fantastic broadcast once again. Well done, guys. I got to say, fantastic race for us there. Pity for Luke, because his pace has been actually matching both Gregor and Atsi in testing. And, you know, certainly I thought he was going to put the pressure on Hugo. But a great race by both Atsi and Gregor, really working together as a team, using the draft well, and sealing a 1-2. Fantastic.
Now, we are going to ask you the tough question with the moment there between Kirchhoff and Hutu. And I think this was on about lap 6 or 7 of the race where Kirchhoff allowed Hutu to go past. How do you take that from your perspective? Was it just a case that Hutu was going to be faster and actually just let him past, or was there any team orders?
Well, no. I mean, firstly, let's clear this up once and for all. We don't have any team orders. You can go for it as long as you don't take each other out. That's the main thing. I think that follows most of the teams in F1 as well. I think in this case, Gregor was getting quite close and thought he might have a bit more pace. But as we saw, once he actually passed Atsi just latched onto the back of Gregor, and he just played it kind of really nicely.
And of course, as I just said, Hutu is so impressive in that second third of the stint. Was it just the fact that Kirchhoff just used too much of his tyres early on in that race, or was it just Hutu pace and that Hutu 8th gear?
Actually, I think Atsi lost the draft. I think he had one lap where he lost about 1.5 seconds. He must have gone wide or something. I need to catch up with him. But losing the draft there certainly hurt his chances, and I think he just thought, you know what, I match Gregor's pace. It's going to be absolutely epic for me to try and catch, but I'll try. But it didn't happen for him. But I know he'll be pleased with this team result.
And I'm guessing also that you're going to have a word with the Red Line pit crew for Luke McLean, because I have to say, until that point, a solid drive. And were you thinking as well that he could perhaps have cut up to the rear of Hugo de Wee?
Well, I didn't know if he could catch Hugo. Hugo's got immense pace, but certainly I actually thought Luke's pit stop was lightning because I thought he was going to come in a bit later, so he might have already had some fuel in the car. That's why I kind of thought that played out. But I was a bit surprised. I know he'd be kicking himself big time, but he's been immense, and he will come back at some stage during the next few races, I'm sure.
Well, on behalf of all of us here, congratulations on a 1-2 finish. And of course, we leave Road America separated between Team Redline and Team Maestro ID in the Drivers' Championship on points. When you head over to Phillip Island, I'm guessing the season starts again.
Absolutely. It's the racing's exciting. It's really tight. We've got Martin, Hugo, Gregor, Luke, and Atsi, 5 drivers that can definitely take the win, and there's other guys as well. So.
Oh, Max Delorto, a standout drive by him. Go on, Ben.
Sorry, Don, if you just don't mind me interrupting. What's the situation with Richie Stanaway going on? I know he's doing a lot of real-life racing now here, both in Australia and overseas, and he's just done a deal with Porsche over in France or somewhere. Is he going to come back and race on the server at some time? Would love to see Richie back on.
Absolutely. Richie's in fine form, and I actually saw him the other day to help him set up his kit. He's desperate to try and get back on the virtual track, but firstly he's got his big priorities of real life racing. So he's, I think, planning to do at least 6 to 7 races this season. I hope to see him there.
Yeah, understandably. And just going into next week, next round down at Phillip Island, how do you guys, this is just something for a lot of the people who don't understand, you organise, in your team, do you set who does the setup or who does the race strategy or whatnot, or do you guys just all work together?
I think it's kind of working together. Definitely Atsi and Luke, Atsi and Gregor have their own kind of styles. So usually setups develop on 2 different completely tangents, but definitely all idea sharing and strategy sharing so you don't get in each other's way. But, you want to race, but don't want to ruin someone else's race.
And that's how you make a championship team, ladies and gentlemen.
Indeed, yeah. And in fact, we're going to bring down our second place driver. So, Atsi, congratulations on second place. And we've got your team manager here as well, so you can give him a thank you in a minute. But great drive by you. You led those first laps. And I have to say, what a start there in that number 5 machine.
Well, everybody, hi. Yeah, that was an amazing start. The best one I ever had. And I was actually surprised to get in front. And from there, yeah, I didn't know. I didn't prepare for a lead in the first lap. So from there, yeah, I just kept driving, but Gregor was into my slipstream, really comfortable. So after a couple of small mistakes, like missing my perfect line, he got close enough, and I just let him go in a straightaway because I thought he would be much quicker. We both would be much quicker if Gregor was leading, and he just pulled a consistent pace, and I was able to follow him closely. After a while, I don't know what happened, but I just made some small mistakes, losing connection with Gregor, and from there I lost a bit of focus, and you're gonna start making more mistakes. So I get myself together, and from there it went really well. But out of the pit, Gregor was gone. He was like 3-4 seconds ahead of me, and My only job was to book consistent lap times because Hugo was closing in quite rapidly. So with Hugo getting closer and closer every lap, I needed to find a consistent pace that I could keep pulling towards the end, and I managed to do so. And actually, the gap got a bit quicker, a bit bigger in the end. So really happy, really delighted with our result as a team. First of all, because Gregory did an amazing race. As always, he's driving like a robot, and congratulations to him. And I'm really happy for Team Redline for this first 1-2 finish. And of course, Hugo. Congratulations, great pace.
And the question is, was it more difficult for you to be sat behind Gregor Houtu for those 20 laps or so after you relinquished your race lead, or after that pit stop? Was it more difficult then, having to kind of keep focused while you had Hugo Louis closing you down?
Well, after Gregor passed me, I could easily stick into his slipstream, and as long as I didn't leave a gap over 1 second, it was easy to follow him. But at a certain point, I just made that gap grow bigger and bigger, and yeah, then there was no holding to it. But from there, I need to switch in my head to make consistent lap times on my own without somebody right in front of me. And out of the pit, yeah, you drive a completely different car. You go into the pit with a completely light car. The tire wear isn't that high on this car, so I got into the pit driving a comfortable, fast pace, and then getting out of the pit, you drive a full car, and you feel like driving a how do you call it, a grandpa wagon, because it's going so slow. And yeah, you need to make that switch, get those apex right, and get the acceleration out of the corner right, because when your car is really heavy, one mistake counts double, because yeah, your car just can't accelerate easy.
And you head over to Phillip Island next week, which is one of the biggest handling racetracks on the entire schedule. We were talking to Dom just a moment ago, and he was saying that you and Gregor have some very different driving styles. So how is that going to come into play when you do your team setups for the next fortnight?
Well, Gregor and I, we know exactly what we know everything about each other's driving styles, and actually we are creating two completely different setups in front of every race. And of course I'm looking at Gregor's. Gregor is looking at my setup, and when we find something that makes us quicker consistently, we just adapt it into our own setup. And yeah, I can't drive Gregor's setup. It's completely impossible for me, because his style of driving is completely different, and he's using a lot more throttle during the braking area, and I just don't do that. It's not my style, and I need a way smoother setup. So it's better for me to start on my own just every week, start with my own setup, get a basic setup from an old track like this track I used, Spa-Francorchamps, and then build it from there. And yeah, of course you communicate a lot, and also with Luke and Ben, and everybody is doing a great job with that, and everybody knows exactly what we do for each other, and what we can mean for each other.
Well, congratulations on that second place finish, and it's been a standout season for you so far. You sat third in the championship with yet another good finish to your name. Ladies and gentlemen, Ati Kirchhoff coming home in the second position today, running out a Team Redline 1-2. And to move over to your third place driver, Hugo Louis, congratulations on that third place. I'm guessing sat on that grid, that race could have gone in a number of different directions for you, and a podium has got to be well worth it. Unfortunately, we haven't quite got the chance to talk to Hugo. Hugo, well, Vincent in the GlacierTV booth. I'm wondering if you can hear me at all. No. Yes, we have. There we are,
Yep,
Hugo.
copy.
I'll tell you what, we'll come back to Hugo in a couple of moments. Before we do that, we will have the opportunity in a moment to go through the championship standings coming out of round number 4. And the important thing is, and I've talked about this quite a lot, your top 2 drivers are now equal on points. And Hugo Louis, Gregor Houtu, 4 rounds, 4 starts, 2 wins, 4 top 5s for both of them, 2 poles each. Average start second, average finish second, and Gregor Hutu has led 69 laps to Hugo Luis's 69. So 95
Other way
laps.
round.
Yeah, I know what I mean. Gregor Hutu's led 95 laps. Hugo Luis has led 69 laps. However, Hugo Luis is still your race leader due to the least number of incidents on the racetrack right now. We had to go and have a look through the rulebook to figure out how they do that. But Hugo Luis is still your championship leader due to the fact he has 13 incidences to Gregor Hutu's 21. Ati Kirchhoff is still sat in that third position, 143 points, dropping a little bit further back now behind these two drivers, but still solidly in the top three. Jake Sturgios is now in the fourth position, Martin Kroenke in fifth, Fulvio Barazoni in sixth, Luke McLean in seventh. That could have been a lot higher for him if he didn't have that incident. Alexei Usiakola in the eighth spot, Ika Hapala in ninth, and Martin Patila rounds out your top 10. The rest of your championship standings coming up on your screen momentarily. And before we go back to Hugo, Ben, my God, it's close between those two drivers, and you have to separate it by incident to see who is your championship leader.
This is awesome. Like, just the smile on my face, like it's nearly 1:45 at night, and I'm wide awake from that race. That was just awesome racing. Like, you go and watch a Formula 1 race now, halfway through the race it'll be all single file and everything. This is just action-packed. This should be on TV, I reckon. BBC, get on top of this. Or Sky FM.
Not Sky, no, BBC. We'll do BBC. But one more time, Hugo, it's Will up in GlacierTV. Wondering if you can hear us now.
Hi.
Hello. Yes. So we'll go back to it. You started fifth on the grid here today, and that race really could have gone a number of different directions. Third place, you know, is that as much as you could have asked for today?
Yeah, before the race I was thinking about what happened last season in North America, so I was having a kind of DFO, you know. But I don't know if I could do any better than what I did today. I didn't have the pace. Real line car is very fast in the after half of a stint, so I think that's enough. This result is very good. Still, that's a good number of races to go.
A lot of races left to go indeed, and you know that third place finish, it puts you equal in points with Gregor Hutu. So the season kind of resets itself now. But as you head over to Phillip Island in 2 weeks' time, is that a positive that you're still leading the championship because you have less incidents, or is it just the fact that you know you have to take every round as it comes?
Well, I expect to be more faster in the Phillip Island. I kind of like that track, and the championship is very interesting now. I think that's something that we missed in the general motorsport today. Such a good battle, so I hope it stays like this.
And you talk about how Phillip Island is one of your better tracks, you know, you like the way the car handles over there. Is that the fact that, you know, there are certain racetracks that you just have to hope for as best to finish as you can, knowing that you're not going to be as competitive as some of your better ones?
I don't get your question. Sorry.
You talk about Phillip Island, you know, it's a track that you do like. When you compare that to some of the other racetracks, you know, perhaps maybe Road America is one of them that you're not as strong on paper. Is it just the case that you have to race for every position possible?
Yeah, Road America is the kind of track that I was never so fast there. I don't know why. I kind of don't like how the car behaves over curbs as well. Phillip Island is a track that you don't have so much worried things happening on the car, at least in my opinion.
And 2 weeks' time, my 3ID, I'm guessing it's going to be represented once again. Can you get victory in 2 weeks' time?
I hope so. I don't know. We are not there, but I still hope.
Fighting talk there, but a little bit of trepidation as well there from Hugo Luis coming home in the third position. Now, guys, very quickly, going to ask you for your driver of the race. I'm going to start with, I've already asked you driver of the race, I think, but David, who's your driver of the race?
Max.
That's simple. Ben?
Don't want to say the same, but Max.
Yoni's not going to be able to say anything, but I can at least ask him in my ear. Joni, who's your driver of the day? He goes for Alex, and I have to say that, you know, we've all talked about how Max Alorco started this race down in 11th position, and yes, he has come home in the 4th position, but Alexi, a standout drive by him once again as well. Despite having some incidents, he did start this race 8th, he comes home in 8th, but he had to work his backside off to get there, so a good race. In fact, I'm going to go for Alexi just so it's equal between himself and Max Alorco, so we're not accused of bias at all, but congratulations to both Max and Alexi for that. In fact, we have a chance to chat to Alexi Usiakola very quickly. Cheers to all of our podium guys, and also to Dom for checking in with us as well. But Alexi, 8th place, you started 8th, you finished 8th, but it wasn't that simple, was it?
Yeah, hi guys. Yeah, it was not so simple at all.
And take us through your race, because it's kind of like you had fights with Barizoni, you had fights with Andre Borcha, you've had fights with pretty much everyone in the top, everyone from about 5th all the way down to 15th at one point.
Yeah, I had too little practice here, so I didn't know what tactics I would take and how much fuel and anything, but yeah, after all, I had too little fuel on the first stint, so I need to pass those guys, and I did it pretty good. But then Andre missed his brakes and hit me in the back, so I lost there like 5 seconds. But if I could manage here front of Jake and the first stint, then I had some better possibilities to be in top 6, but happy still for the result.
Not sure if we've lost Will there actually. Just quickly recapping that closest finish we've had between Ben Cornett and Ilka Happela. It actually is the closest finish we've ever had in WCS history.
Woohoo! That's awesome, and you know, I think Cornett deserved that one. It was so close, but Cornett is one of the better drivers he's had this season, so a great job there for Ben Cornett. Very quickly got the chance to speak to Petri Kotavara, and Petri, it's been an interesting race for you. You've managed to work your way up the field, worked yourself down the field, but I believe you got yourself a black flag on pit road at some point.
No, actually, in the turn 3, where was big mayhem, I lost my front wing, and first lap was so horrible. I nearly managed it to the pit lane, fixing the damages, so I had to take extra pit just from the start.
Okay.
And it basically ruined my race, but after that it was just cruising to the finish, and something happened through the race. I was getting more pace, and in the end it was pretty nice to drive.
And when you consider the fact that your teammate Max Delorco came home in the top 5 with a stunning 4th place finish, were you perhaps expecting a little bit more from this race? Perhaps at least a top 10?
Not from me. I had lack of practice because my shoulder has been painful and the driving is not so good, so I had to take some medicine to do a little bit of practice and quali and race. But for the Max, awesome job. That's brilliant from position 11th. I couldn't imagine that Max could get to P4, even I know that he had very good pace, but starting from position 11, it's very hard to gain to the top 5.
Well, congratulations on finishing the race at the very least, and hope that you get better soon. 2 weeks time, Phillip Island, you looking forward to that one a little bit more?
I hope so, because it's one of the greatest tracks with the F1. Very long straights, and with this new draft model, I hope and think we have better racing, like we've seen in these rounds, like Road America and Spa. So if my shoulder will be okay, it should be good.
Well, congratulations on at least finishing the races. So we'll see you at Phillip Island, and hopefully you're feeling a little bit better there. But final thoughts. It's time for final thoughts. And Ben, I'll come to you first, because once again, a truly epic race.
Yep, that's it. You took the words out of my mouth. Over to you, David. No, I'm joking. No, it was an absolutely cracking race. It goes so fast now. Like, we should have a race every week. If it's that good, we should have a race every week. It's just incredible how good these guys are, and just the racing up and down the field. Doesn't matter how fast you are. If you qualify for the World Championship Series on iRacing, you will have someone to race against. It's a guarantee. Look at every broadcast this season. That's it.
David, you've got 10 seconds, unfortunately, because I've got to cut out in a minute. Go.
Fantastic race. Great result for Team Redline. My 3ID with Hulugui's just outside. I think he's a little bit gutted, but yeah, rolling on to Phillip Island next. I love that track. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And unfortunately, that is all we have time for. Plenty more to talk about. We'll bring that to you in Ice Lounge. However, it's been a truly amazing race here today at Road America. The championship, it might as well start again. After 4 rounds, Hugo Luis and Gregor Hutu tied in points coming out of Road America. I've been Will Vincent. It's been Dave Ward, Ben Rothberg. Marius Collenbeck will be back with us in 2 weeks' time. For myself, Will Vincent, and Joni Bäckman, we'll talk to you a little bit later on. Bye-bye.
It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Travis, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 to the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR iRacing.